Had. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of quotations from the Talmud and the Mishnah. The reason I'm going to be looking at these quotations is to establish the dates of when the temples were destroyed. Tisha B'Av, the Talmud and the Mishnah talk about a particular date of when the temples were destroyed, and this is very fascinating because the destruction of the temples and the particular date of which they were destroyed goes a long way in actually proving proving the Lunar Sabbath was true, and that the Israel were observing a Lunar Sabbath at the time of the destruction of both temples. I want to sort of establish a bit of groundwork about the Lunar Sabbath if you're not familiar with it. The Lunar Sabbath is a concept that the regular weekly Sabbath is broken up. It doesn't always fall on a Saturday, the Sabbath. Today, if you're keeping a Saturday Sabbath, then you work 6 days and then you keep Saturday as a 7th-day Sabbath. But the Lunar Sabbath doesn't work like that. It is broken up by what we call the new moon. So in other words, we would wait until the conjunction day, which is the alignment of the sun, the earth and the moon, which basically means that there would be a basically I think it's the sun, moon and earth, which basically means that there'd be a completely dark moon, and then the following day would be new moon day. This can sometimes take 1 or 2 days, and then we would begin our 6-day count and then observe the Sabbath. The first Sabbath would always fall on the 8th day of the month. The second Sabbath would fall on the 15th. The third Sabbath would fall on the 22nd, and then the fourth Sabbath would fall on the 29th. And the reason I'm going to be quoting these two quotations from the Talmud and Mishnah is because they seem to support the fact that the Sabbath was being observed according to the lunar phases. So, as I'm going to quote the first one. So, as we said, it's very important to understand that as lunar Sabbatarians, we believe that the first Sabbath always falls on the 8th day of the month. So, I'm going to read this. Sorry, a bit of a cold. This first quotation is taken from Tanis in the Talmud, Tanis 29a, and it goes on to say here, talking about the 9th of Av, the destruction of the first temple, and it says here, at sunset, at the beginning of the 9th day of the month of Av, the Babylonians set fire to the temple. That the fire began at the night just after the conclusion of the Sabbath. I'll repeat that again. At sunset, at the beginning of the 9th day of the month of Av, the Babylonians set fire to the temple. Reports that the fire began at night, just after the conclusion of the Sabbath. Very interesting, because you see here, we're told that the destruction of the temple took place on the 9th of Av, the 9th of the 5th month. And then we're told very clearly in the Talmud that it was after the conclusion of the Sabbath. That would place the Sabbath on the 8th day of the month, just as it would be if they were observing a lunar Sabbath. Now you might just think, oh, you know, that's just a coincidence. I would find once a coincidence, but twice. Here we have another statement from the Talmud, and this says, the day the temple, we're talking about the second temple now, the day the temple was destroyed was the 9th of Av. It was the conclusion of the Sabbath and the end of a 7-year cycle. So here we see here again, the second temple was destroyed on the 9th of Av, and again it was at the conclusion of the Sabbath. So the Romans began to destroy the temple at the conclusion of the Sabbath on the 9th of Av. Now again, supporting a lunar Sabbath, because both of these Sabbath days fell on the 8th of Av, and they were both Sabbaths. You know, I find it a little bit, you know, it's not just a coincidence. You know, it clearly shows that the children, you know, the people of Elohim, of God, were observing the lunar month, and this is why both the Babylonians and the Romans destroyed the temples immediately after the Sabbath on the 8th, you know, following the 8th day of the month, which were both Sabbaths at the time of the Babylonian destruction and at the time of the Roman destruction. So yeah, this was just a little short video, just to jiggle people's minds, get you thinking. Yeah, any questions? Just let me know. Shalom.